the day I die. Swing those hips around, can't stop, roll back down. My ladies, short, tall, thin or wide, always down and ready to ride.
Oh, welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene. You guys are watching Primed and Lubed, Season 4, Episode 18 for March the 2nd, 2025. Spring is finally in the air, and I couldn't be more happier. I did a lot of work in the yard. I got my planters out. Things are all peachy in that world, but not necessarily in the Edmonton Oiler world, as we're going to get into this episode and a lot of stuff that I'm not particularly proud of the boys this week. And I'm going to say every single game this week, despite the Oilers winning last night against the Carolina Hurricanes. Just a lot of stuff not really gelling with the team right now. And Chris Knobloch basically called him out in the media just the other day, saying there's a lot of passengers, and he's probably right with that assessment. So, yeah, we got a lot we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the state of the Oilers. We're going to get some new facts, new numbers from different games. We're also going to do the rig report. And unfortunately, it's not all smiles this month for the rig report of January 2025. There has been a little bit of a degrade where it was all, smiles last month when we did the rig report. So let's dive into this episode, guys. And, before we do that, if you would be so kind to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, that would help me grow the channel immensely, and I would be very, very grateful. All right, let's get into the rundown for this week. We're going to talk about the Oilers and Lightning. We're going to talk about the league this week, and we're going to talk about a couple of trades. There was a few trades. I'm only going to go off of 2 trades. And a certain restaurant changing their name. We'll get into that shortly for just a couple of their locations. And you guys probably know where I'm going with this, but if you don't, you may be surprised, as it was quite amusing when I first found out. Then it's the Oilers and Panthers, the Stanley Cup Game 7 rematch, which didn't favor very well for the Oilers. The rig report, again, a little bit of a downgrade for the Edmonton Oilers in the month of February, as they didn't exactly have a very good month. I believe they were 2-7, I believe it was. There wasn't that many games because of the 4 nations, but they just did not have a very good month. They had a long losing streak, 6-game losing streak, the first time in about 3 years. So, yeah, it just wasn't a good month for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll take a look at the updated standings, the new poll question, the upcoming games that are going to be this week, starting with Anaheim, Montreal, and who's the other one? Anaheim, Montreal, and Dallas on Saturday. So we're going to go through those, and then I'll get your final thoughts, and we'll go from there. So let's dive into the very first game of the week, which was the Edmonton Oilers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I'll just switch that graphic over. There we go. Okay, so let me just get my graphics up on my end here. 1 second, guys. Okay, so it started off with Leon Draisaitl opening the scoring at 11:53 from Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard. It would be 1-0. However, Eisenmont would tie it with Like 2 minutes later, less than 2 minutes later, a minute and a half later, it'd be his fifth, assisted by Concalves. We have a 1-1 game after the first period. Brennan Hagel would get his 28th from Gingras and Sorelli at 29 seconds of the second period. So very quickly in the second period, the Tampa Bay Lightning were fire. Then Victor Hedman would make it 3-1 on the power play with his ninth from Kucherov and point at 5:38. Nick Paul would make it 4-1. Basically, you understand where the story is going with this one, as the Tampa Bay Lightning would finish this one 4-1. Not a very good outing for the Edmonton Oilers after the break, but you got to understand they were on a break, and you hope that they could somehow take the bad out of that and transform it into good. The question that we had was definitely resolved against the Florida Panthers, and it didn't fare out very well. So the shots on goal in this game, 36-24 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Edmonton Oilers led in hits, 30-25. Face-off win percentage, wow. Like, this week has not been very favorable for the face-off win percentage, which has been literally the Edmonton Oilers' bread and butter. 57.7 for the Lightning. Power plays, well, the Oilers were 1 for 1, and they did kill 2 of the 3 penalty kills. So that's a little bit of an okay stat. Blocked shots, it was Edmonton 16-9. Giveaways 18-11 for the Edmonton Oilers. That's not good. And we're going to get into the giveaway. I did some research on giveaways and who is our leader on that, and we're going to get into that shortly. Stuart Skinner, he like, I don't want to bash him at all. In fact, I will come to his defense. The players in front of him are just not doing their job. It's just that simple. 889 save percentage, as he saved 32 of 36. Some of the other numbers that we looked at is Bouchard, 5 giveaways, a -3. That's ugly. That's super ugly. 4 forwards, 0 shots on goal. 4 forwards had 0 shots on goal. And no Oiler contributed. This was an awing stat. No Oiler contributed in a favorable way for the plus-minus stat. I think 0 was the best, and then everyone was a negative on this one. Not a good effort for the Edmonton Oilers. The good, well, Leon Draisaitl got 1 goal, 5 shots on goal. Matthias Ekholm, 5 takeaways. And Emerson, 5 hits. But unfortunately, a 4-1 loss. That's the stat you're going to look at, and that's the stat we're going to go off. And it sucks. It simply sucks. It's not a good effort by the boys. The stars of this game, according to ESPN, were Victor Hedman with 1 goal, Nikita Kucherov, 2 assists, and Michael Eyssimont with 1 goal. And there you have it. The Oilers lose their first, I believe this was the first game since the break. Maybe there was a game before that I did last week. But yeah, not very impressive at all. All right, guys. So we hope that the Oilers can figure this out, because there's a lot of rumors now going out that Carolina might be actually moving on from Rantanen already. And there's rumors that LA Kings are all in on him. So again, these are rumors. I'm not trying to portray any kind of situation. But if that's the case, LA Kings could be a task for the Edmonton Oilers to handle this playoff year. And it's right now they are on a collision course to meet once again. So we'll see what happens. Let's go into the league this week, as there was a couple of trades. There was actually a few trades. I'm going to only go off of 2 of the more notable trades. that happened basically on March 1st, as we will discuss the first one, which is Seth Jones traded to the Panthers in exchange for Spencer Knight. The Panthers will acquire defenseman Seth Jones and a fourth-round pick in the 2026 NHL draft from Chicago Blackhawks for goaltender Spencer Knight and a first-round pick of 2026. This is kind of one of those trades that I'm actually kind of happy it happened, because it definitely rules out that the Oilers would go after him, because Seth Jones, I'm going to be honest with you, he's not all that great. If we're looking at him for an upgrade, which, to be honest, it might be good considering that Brett Kulak had the most minutes last night against the Canes. So we're definitely struggling with our depth in defense, but still, I just don't think Seth Jones is the answer for the Oilers. And I want to see us go after a good block shot guy. So anyway, it's kind of good that he got traded, because it's likely he's going to stay with the Florida Panthers. Sorry. Okay, and the other trade, Nashville Predators deal Gustav Nyquist to the Minnesota Wild. They acquire Nyquist. Nashville Predators will receive a second-round pick in the 2022 NHL draft. So that's one of two trades that has taken place. Now, here's the funny story, and I don't want to put this graphic up just yet. I want to give it a preface. I was actually really shocked to hear about this, and I'll throw up the graphic right now. Yep. There's going to be two McDonald's restaurants changing their name to McDavid's, one of which is in Markham, Ontario, his birthplace, his home, and the other one is somewhere in Edmonton. I'm still trying to find out where exactly it is in Edmonton, but that is crazy. And McDonald's, there was also a tweet on McDonald's that I saw that they are willing to change the name of every McDonald's restaurant in Canada to, and I don't know if this is just a shits and giggle thing, but to McDavid's, should the Edmonton Oilers bring home the Stanley Cup this spring. So that'll be interesting. That'll be very, very, very interesting. And that's pretty much all the news. Not really a lot breaking. There's going to be a lot to talk about probably next week, as the trade deadline does take place this Friday. And we'll see who the Oilers add. We know they're going to be making some moves. We know they have to. And it looks like the goaltender thing is probably not going to happen. I know everyone wants to see Jordan Binnington, but honestly, guys, Jordan Binnington's numbers are very similar to Skinner's numbers. But yes, he does have the clutch factor when it comes to very important games, as we saw at the Four Nations tournament, where he was absolutely mind-blowing, stunning. So, yeah. All right, guys, let's move on to the second game of the week, which was the Stanley Cup rematch of Game 7, which we all still feel it in here. It's still raw. It's still very raw for me, because I really, really want to see it. Back in 2006, when we lost Game 7 to Carolina, that hurt, and then it happened again. It's like, oh, not again. Anyway, it did. So they were saying on this particular game, tickets for the Stanley Cup Final were 8,500 plus, okay? Like the highest paid seat. The highest paid seat in this game here that happened on a couple days ago was like $125. So it's like quite a difference in cost. Obviously, there's also quite the difference when it comes to, what the game actually means and what was actually in stake of the game. So we'll get into that right now as switch over here. All right. So let me get that up. Okay. So it would be Balinskis, if I'm pronouncing that correct. Balinskis. I don't know what his first name is. I've never heard of that name. He would get his fourth at 12:28 for the Florida Panthers, assisted by Lundell. Then Brett Kulak, who's been very noticeable lately, would get his seventh, assisted from Podkolzin and Klingberg. And Klingberg, I'm hearing a lot of bashing online and from other media outlets about Klingberg and how he's not the answer. He's playing pretty good. He's playing pretty good. Like he's not much of a liability for the most part. He's actually adding some points and contributing. So I still think that we shouldn't weigh in on Klingberg just yet. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but maybe you guys can chime in and message me at the end of this episode on final thoughts and tell me what you think. But I think Klingberg has been pretty good. So yeah, he would get the point on there at 14:41. It'd be tied 1-1 after the first period. Anton Lundell would get his 15th from Aaron Ekblad at 15:30 of the second period. Leon Draisaitl would get his 44th from Klingberg. There you go. And Klingberg again, noticeably on the points at 17:30. It's 2-2 after 2. So 1-1 after 1, 2-2 after 2. And it all changes in the third period when Nate Smith would get his fifth goal from Greer and Lundell at 11:08. And it wasn't matched by the Edmonton Oilers as Carter Verhaeghe would get his 16th from Reinhardt and Ekblad at 13:51. Zach Hyman would get one to try to get them within distance, but already at this point it was probably a little bit too late. As he would get a goal from Ekholm and McDavid. And that, I think, is about all I have for that one, as it was a 4-3 final. When it came to the save percentage, Stu was a 889. Bobrovsky was at 889 as well. So kind of funny there where it worked out like that. But that's the way it worked out. And again, the Florida Panthers have the Edmonton Oilers number. Okay, so let's go into some of the numbers of this game. Shots on goal, the Panthers led the way with 36-27 hits, 26-15 for the Panthers. Face-off win percentage, again, the Oilers' bread and butter for a second straight game. Lose out on that stat, 26-15. Lose out on that stat, 54.5%. The power plays, the Oilers were 0 for 2. Penalty kill, though, however, 6 for 6. They didn't allow a power play goal from the Florida Panthers, so they did a good job on the penalty kill. Blocked shots, however, why did they allow 6 penalties? That's the other question. Blocked shots, 21-17 for the Edmonton Oilers. The Panthers actually gave away the puck by one more than the Edmonton Oilers with 11-10. And the save percentage, again, 889 for Stuart Skinner. So he's trying to grind his way out of it, but he is struggling. The other numbers, the bad, Brown and Youngmark were both a -3. Bouchard, second most giveaways in the league with 102. Now, actually, I just looked at it a little bit earlier. It has been bumped that he's now third, but still, he's third to Erik Karlsson and I can't quite remember the defenseman on Calgary. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. But I know he's on Calgary. He was the one that got traded from Florida. I just can't think of it right now off the top of my mind. I should have wrote that down for notes. But anyway, regardless, he's third in the league for the most giveaways this season. So it's something to think about. Nurse, the lowest on the team with a 2.9 shooting percentage. That could relate to something that's going on with him too. I think he is a little bit injured and a little bit banged up. The good ones, Brett Kulak, 8 blocked shots. Podkolzin leads the team with 132 hits this season. And Draisaitl extends his point streak at this point in time to 10 games. It would actually carry over to 11 games when they take on the Canes. So, yes. So overall, Oilers are trying to fight through stuff. So hopefully they can figure this out because it's starting to look. They need to get that win streak like they had last year because that gave them a world of confidence and it led them to the Stanley Cup final. Because right now, I'm saying if LA gets Rantanen, the Oilers could be in trouble in the very first round. And the stars, according to ESPN, was Anton Lundell with 1 goal, 2 assists. Nate Schmidt, 1 goal. Carter Verhaeghe, 1 goal. So it's all to the Panthers on this one. And unfortunately, the Oilers extend their losing streak to, what would it be, 5-6 games, I think, at this point. Not even sure exactly, but it would end the next game. However, the game wasn't exactly that remarkable to acknowledge. And we'll get into that shortly. Let's get into the Rig Report for the month of February 2025. All right, guys, it's time to do the Rig Report for the month of February 2025. How did the Oilers fare up in kind of a short month because there was a 2-week hiatus with the Four Nations tournament, so they didn't play very many games. That being said, they just came off of a 5-game losing streak. So, unfortunately, it's not all warm and fuzzies for this particular month like it was last month. Those of you who are watching this for the first time and wonder what this Rig Report is, well, essentially it's a grading system. I rank various statistics, and I will go through that very shortly, from first to 32nd in the league, because there are 32 teams in the National Hockey League. And wherever they rank, they will be allocated a certain grade, and then I will combine all those statistical aspects to an overall grade. Let's get into it, and I will explain which statistics I do cover on this, as the Oilers will be graded on the following stats: point percentage, shots for, shots against, power play, penalty kill, goals for, goals against, save percentage, face-off win percentage, and then again, I combine all that to accumulate a final score, and we'll see where they rank. So let's get into the very first one on point percentage. So in January, the Edmonton Oilers scored an A+ for point percentage. With the 2-week break of the Four Nations tournament, the Oilers came out of it and lost. No rhythm, no communication, extremely poor defending, and I'm going to definitely emphasize that, as they would finish the month with a 2-5-0 record. They would fall a full grade down to a B+ for point percentage. So a huge drop off right there. For shots for, There was no change in this stat as the Edmonton Oilers held steady at second in the league. So once again, they are an A plus for February. For shots against, they were an A in January. This grade looks better than it actually is as the Oilers fell 6 spots to 8th in the league. Only October was worse this season when they were ranked 13th. Likely the result of poor defending. Now, you're going to hear that a lot because we've seen a lot of porous, crappy ass defending out of this team in recent weeks. February, they will score an A minus. So they dropped only one grade, but like I said, they dropped 6 spots. So it's actually uglier than it appears. In January, the Edmonton Oilers scored an A minus for the power play. No change on the power play as it still remains 7th in the league, which when I saw that, I was like, is that right? Because it just doesn't seem like this team is clicking or they're just not getting the calls or something. But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. I had to double check that stat. So again, for this month, they will stay at an A minus. As far as the penalty goes, they were a C last month. This month, all season long, the Edmonton Oilers have had their issues on the penalty kill. Last month, we saw a glimmer of hope, it's supposed to say, but however, they fell from grace fairly quickly as they are now back to a D. So that's not good at all for February. The penalty kill, again, this boils down to a lot of defending, a little bit of goaltending too. I'm not going to just blame all on the defending. There is some onus on Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard, but realistically, the defending is so bad that, you know, when you got McDavid after yesterday's game against the Carolina Hurricanes, second in most blocked shots, that's not a good stat. When you got Brett Kulak playing 25 minutes, he's your third pairing D-man, he's playing 25 minutes, that's not a good number. And yeah. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I'll probably be talking about most of this throughout the episode today. In the month of January, the Oilers' goals for was a A minus. A slight drop off from 6th to 9th. Not too much to worry about. However, arguably the two best offensive forwards in the world need to focus on that. Not being defensemen because others are not contributing. So they do fall back to a B plus for goals for. Goals against, they were an A minus in January. The largest margin drop off of all these stats going from 6th to 20th in February. Again, is there direct connection to the defending aspects of the game? You notice I'm saying defense a lot? I'm saying defense a lot because this team needs better defense, 100%. Yeah, they fall into a C in the month of February. Brutal, absolutely brutal. I'm just dumbfounded of that drop off. In January 2025, they scored an A for save percentage. This did take a bit of a hit, but not as much as I thought it would be. Defending. Again, I'm using that. I know I'm oversaturating that word like nuts, but it's true. I've been very hard on Stewie in the past, and rightfully so. However, I'm coming to his defense as he has been made the scapegoat and victim and numerous trade rumors. He can do better, sure, but his save percentage is remarkably close to Canadian hero Jordan Binnington. And yeah, like he's had a tough month. There's no question. And you need your goaltender to step up and save you a game from time to time. But some of the plays that I've seen, and I'm going to call out Evan Bouchard on, were absolutely brutal through this month. He needs to change his game. He's making Ekholm start look bad. So they fell to a C plus in this stat for the month of February. And I don't really blame Stewie on this one. I'm going to actually defend him a little bit because he's not getting the help that he needs. In January, the Edmonton Oilers scored an A on the face-off win percentage. This is usually Edmonton Oilers' bread and butter. However, with their best face-off guy assigned to the minors in Derek Ryan, this stat has taken a hit to its lowest point since November of 2023, as they fall to a B plus. Like I say, this is one that they usually ace every month. It's been a long time since they've fallen out of the A club. They've been hovering around A plus to A minus for months and months and months. But yeah, we've fallen to a B plus in this stat. And the overall grade for this month is a B. So they have fallen off a bit. We hope to see some better results in the month of March when I do next month's. And we'll see. We will see. Anyway, guys, that's all I got. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Yeah, so just a slight fall from grace in the month of February for the Edmonton Oilers, and they'll rebound back. Come on, we know this team has the talent. We know this team has the will. They're just in a bit of a rut, and ruts will happen to the greatest teams, to the crappiest team. Well, crappiest teams pretty much experience a rut the whole season. But the greatest teams in the history of the NHL have experienced these ruts. So the Oilers would end the losing streak against the Carolina Hurricanes, which is a pretty strong team considering they got Mikko Rantanen and they got a good team. Aho. And I love how dramatic, can't think of his name right now, the coach. And it's bothering me that I'm off the top of my head. But anyway, yeah. It's awesome when I watch these guys play because they're just, both coaches are very well, especially Brindamore. There we go. Brindamore is very fiery, and you noticed it within the first 30 seconds of that game. But the Oilers would end the streak here. Now, this isn't one of those rah, like right on, we won, and the streak is over. No, it was actually still not a very well-played game. And unfortunately, the Oilers are still kind of trying to figure out their way. They did get the 2 points, which is good. But they still have a ways to go as far as becoming a contender again, to be honest with you. So we're going to look into this game against the Canes. And it would start off with Adam Henrique getting a shorthanded goal assisted by Matthias Janmark at 5:08. The Oilers would be on the board first. The Oilers, in several games now, would take a 2-0 lead. It's the first time they've had a 2-0 lead in quite a while, as Corey Perry would get his 13th from Leon Draisaitl and Brett Kulak. Brett Kulak has been a stud. I really hope they don't trade him. So that was a second period goal at 18:29. Sebastian Aho would close within one at 4:26 of the third period. His 22nd on the power play from Mikko Rantanen and Shane Gostisbehere. However, Evan Bouchard would tuck away The empty netter at 1915, which really at that point in time in the game would have been 2-1 or 3-1. It's a complimentary goal. So yes, they did get off the snide there, 3-1. This game wasn't exactly something to write home to mom about, but it still is a win. Shots on goal, Carolina Hurricanes 36-31. Hits 14-12 for the Carolina Hurricanes. The Oilers finally get off the snide when it comes off to the face-off win percentage as they slightly edge them out. 50.9 on the dot. And yeah, like that's something that has dropped off significantly. 1 for 2 on the power play, 3 for 4 on the penalty kill, 15-14 for blocked shots. And then the stat that you never want to be ahead in, 24-20 for giveaways for the Oilers. Save percentage, Stuart Skinner, 30. I don't know what I wrote there. But anyway, that's incorrect. Oh, that would be right. He saved 35 of 39 shots. That's correct. And a 972. No, that's definitely incorrect. That stat's incorrect. So don't even just ignore that stat. Don't know what happened there, but it's not correct. It was an 887 save percentage. And yeah, something got goofy there. So we won't even go off that stat at all, guys. With the other numbers, Ekholm, Bouchard combined for 7 giveaways. Not good. McDavid, second on the team for blocked shots with 2. Okay, so we're talking about your superstar. He's second on the team for blocking shots. So what do they want to do? They want to have McDavid out when he's such a clutch player in the playoffs because he busted his ankle because he blocked a shot. I think that's ridiculous. And that's why I put that in the bad category for numbers, because he really shouldn't be blocking shots, guys. Like, this is Connor freaking McDavid, man. Like, the best player in the world should not be blocking the shots. I'm sorry. Like, that's your D-man. That's your $2-3 million players. So that's a very telling thing. You know, McDavid wants it. We know McDavid wants it. It's the other guys that got to get on board. And that's hence the episode called Passengers. Brett Kulak, highest minutes with, I couldn't believe this, 25.45 minutes for Brett, third pairing D-man Kulak. I'm not going to say the word. It should not be that way with your third pairing D-man. I could see Ekholm getting that. I could see even Nurse getting that, but well, Nurse wasn't playing. No. He shouldn't have more minutes than Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. I'm dumbfounded by that. Calvin Pickard had an excellent night. These are the good numbers. 972 save percentage. Kasperi Kapanen was the reason why the Oilers won the dot on this particular game with a 66.7%. And Brett Kulak was a +2. So you notice Brett Kulak has been he's been in the negative, and the reason why he's been in the negative is because he shouldn't be playing that many minutes. He's a third pairing D-man. And it's an applause to Brett Kulak. Don't get me wrong. It's actually an applause to him. But for a third pairing D-man playing the most minutes over everyone else on the team, including your 2 major superstars, not good at all. Here are your stars that ESPN selected, and it was Calvin Pickard, without a doubt, 972 save percentage. That's where somehow it got screwed up on the previous graphic when they played the Florida. Don't know how it got screwed up, but it did. Second star was Sebastian Aho with 1 goal, and Corey Perry with 1 goal as well would be your third star. All right. So now we go to the standings and what has transpired in the last week since we last did it. And I will get into that right now. West standings, there we go. All right, so Winnipeg, Dallas, and Vegas stay in their same spot. The Edmonton Oilers, despite the horrible week, actually bumped up 1 spot. So I was like, I had to really look that one over a little bit. Minnesota, I guess, is having a worse week than Edmonton, as they are down 1 spot. Then Colorado, LA, Vancouver, and Calgary would stay even. Calgary is on the outside looking in. St. Louis bumps up 2 spots. Utah and Anaheim -1. Seattle, Nashville, Chicago, and San Jose stay in their respective spots from last week. If the playoff pairings were to commence today, it's pretty much exactly the same as last week. The Canucks would face the Winnipeg Jets. The Avs would face the Vegas Golden Knights. The LA Kings would take on the Edmonton Oilers. And if LA get Mikko Rantanen, and from what I'm hearing, they are really pressing hard to get him. They are willing to just go all in for him. And then you got the Minnesota Wild versus the Dallas Stars. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting week with the deadline for sure, 100%. It's going to be an interesting. And next episode that I do on next Sunday is going to be a very interesting episode that I do, because it's going to reveal all the trades. Because I'm sure the Oilers are in the market for something. From my understanding, there was an interview done by a certain reporter regarding what the Oilers would do, what their plans were. There's no plans to move Skinner out. There is their plans to get a depth defenseman and a depth forward. So we'll see how that all transpires, but it doesn't sound like at this point in time that they are in the market for a goaltender. And let's be honest, with what Jordan Binnington, if they're going after Jordan Binnington, what is he going to command for a deal? They're going to have to give up a lot. They're going to have to give up maybe Nuge, maybe Hyman, and regular season, his numbers are very comparable to Stuart Skinner. So yes, we've seen that he's clutch when it really needs to be clutch, but who knows? All right, let's go into the poll question for this upcoming week, and it is on my Twitter account. And you can just scan this QR code that is at the bottom of the page. Will Connor McDavid come home to a hero's welcome standing ovation? Yes or no? The week hasn't been exactly that great for McDavid. Let's be honest. He has been a very non-factor in the 3 games that he has played. So that's why I bring up this question. He did get the overtime goal to lift Canada over the U.S. in a very political driven tournament that a lot of people were really happy and relieved that, hey, Canada was able to beat the U.S. and at least give them a sense of accomplishment, because the world stage right now is a very interesting world stage. I'm not going to get into the political aspects of what's going on in the world, but we're going through some very interesting times. Let's just say that. So that is the question for this week. Scan the QR code on the right-hand side there. It'll take you directly to my X page, and I'd like to see what your results are on it. See what you guys think. All right. Now we move into the upcoming games for the week as the Edmonton Oilers will take on three opponents. They're going to take on two that are kind of the weaker, and then they're going to take a juggernaut on in Dallas next Saturday. I believe that's going to be on Hockey Night in Canada. So let's get into that. So again, Tuesday they're in Anaheim, or Tuesday they're at home. And now I'd like to see if there's going to be a hero's welcome for Connor McDavid. Thursday they're taking on the Montreal Canadiens, and then Saturday they will take on the Dallas Stars. Let's get into the Anaheim game. Okay, so for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, or I still call them the Mighty Ducks. It's funny how that adjective still seems to seep into my channel. The Anaheim Ducks. They're not the Mighty Ducks anymore. The Anaheim Ducks. They are currently sixth in the Pacific with a 26-26-7 record. Definitely not playoff bound. But they're also that mysterious team killer for the Edmonton Oilers. They seem to have their number. Currently tied for 31st in the league for goals at 2.56 per game, 19th in the league for shots on goal at 27.8, 31st in the league at 12.6 when it comes to the power play, a measly 12.6. Wow. I think Zegras will be on his way out. And then they are 30th in the league for shooting percentage at 9.2. So those numbers showing you is why this team is such a tragedy this year in the NHL. For goals allowed, they are 20th in the league, allowing 3.7 goals per game, 31st in the league for shots on goal allowed. So obviously defending is a worse issue for this team. 22nd in the league for penalty minutes. They're not very disciplined. And they are 27th in the league for the penalty kill at 73.8%. The last time they met the Edmonton Oilers, Edmonton won 3-2 on January 3rd, 2025. It sounds like Stuart Skinner will probably get the start. However, he is hovering below 900 with his save percentage at 898. John Gibson is likely to start for the Ducks, and he's probably the only player on that team that is worth a look at. So, yeah. So then the Oilers will go on after that. This is a bit of a homestand, 3-game homestand, and then they will take on the Montreal Canadiens on Thursday night. And this one could be a very interesting one as well, as the Montreal Canadiens defeated the Edmonton Oilers 3-0 November 18th, 2024. So Montreal, yeah, they might have the Edmonton Oilers number. Montreal is 15th in the league for goals. They are 30th in the league for shots on goal at 26.1. When it comes to their power play, they are 17th in the league at 21.5. Their face-offs win percentage, they are 16th in the league at 50.5. Shooting percentage, 11.4 tied for 5th. When it comes to their defending, not very good numbers as well, as they are 27th in the league for goals allowed at 3.32. Shots on goal allowed at 19, or at 28.9 for 19th in the league. Penalty minutes, 9.4, tied for 26th. And then penalty kill is 82, tied for 15. So another team that is struggling, but these teams that struggle, I've said it in the past on previous episodes, the teams that struggle seem to have the Oilers number. I don't know why. It's going to be probably Skinner again, the way ESPN has it lined up, because it is a 2-day rest. Sam Montembeault will probably be behind the pipes. Very similar numbers. So we'll see what happens. Montreal, however, are on a 4-game winning streak, so they're on a bit of a heater. We'll see what happens. I know that Martin St. Louis had a bit of a bitch fest, I'll say, basically, calling out a lot of players a few days ago. And they are starting to respond. They are definitely starting to respond. And then last but not least, the Edmonton Oilers will take on the juggernaut Dallas Stars. And Dallas is a team. Dallas is a contender, 100%, as they are 4th in the league for goals, 5th in the league for shots on goal, 19th in the league on the power play, 7th in the league for faceoffs, 7th for shooting percentage, 3rd in the league for goals against, 10th in the league for shots on goal against, 5th in the league for penalty minutes, and 1st on the penalty kill. They have an amazing penalty. They have the best penalty kill in the league at 85.5. So yeah, compared to the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill, which is 26th in the league at 75%. So says a lot. Jake Ossinger is sporting a 910 save percentage to Stuart Skinner's 998, I believe that is. However, Skinner does have one shutout more than Ossinger. But what does that really mean? What does that really mean? It doesn't mean nothing. So there you guys have it. That is the weekly rundown. By the way, oh yeah, Dallas beat the Edmonton Oilers on October 19th by a count of 4-1. So it's a good team. They are facing a good team. They got to make sure, the Edmonton Oilers have got to make sure that they can get 2 against Anaheim and 2 against Montreal. I think those are going to be huge because this is going to be a tough one to win. However, they are on home ice, and we'll see what happens with the Edmonton Oilers when they take on Anaheim. Will there be a standing O? Will there be a motivational lift for this team because of what Connor McDavid did for Team Canada 2 weeks ago? So anyway, all right, guys. We are almost wrapping it up. We're going to go into final thoughts. Renegade Man has chimed in again, so I will answer his questions as we go on to that right now. So for final thoughts, really, my big question to you guys out there, and this is why I wish Renegade Man would stick in a little bit to the end here, but what will the Oilers do at the deadline? The deadline is this Friday. It doesn't sound like they're in the market for a goaltender. It sounds like they will be in the market for a potential D-man and a potential depth forward. D-man, depth forward. So this team is going to look different the next time I chat with you next Sunday. 100%. What is going to change? I don't know. There could be some major changes. There might not be. I don't know. But we will see some changes with 100% certainty. Let's go to some of the comments that Renegade Man has made. And the first one is, I hope they don't trade Kane. I don't think they plan on trading Kane. As, again, the conversation took place with... I can't quite remember our president of operations, Jeff. We'll just say with Jeff. I can't think of his last name right now, but and it sounds like the plan for Kane was 100% going to be coming back. Let me just get that out of the way. Oh, 1 second. Okay. 1 second here. Okay. Screwing up my banners a little bit. The plan was Jeff Jackson. There we go. Comes to me after the fact. Jeff Jackson had no intent of trading King. The initial forecast for him to return to the lineup was for the playoffs before the knee injury. So it sounds like he's going to be a playoff type of guy. So that means the Oilers have money to splash around. Now, the CBA has a little bit of an element there. If he's ready to play, they have to play him. So the Oilers would have to waive whoever they get, or they would have to move money around somehow. If Kane decides to come to the surface and say, "Yeah, I'm ready to play," they would have to figure out something. So we'll see what happens with that. But I don't anticipate him playing until the playoffs. Let's go into. And this surprises me because you've been defending Stuart Skinner forever. They should play Picard more now that he's hot. Yes, it was a one game though, Renegade Man. It was a one game. No, I think especially for these games that are upcoming against Anaheim and Montreal, I would say definitely play Skinner, see how he does, and then at that point in time you can evaluate him. Excuse me. Evaluate him and see if he's going to be good to go against the Dallas Stars. I don't think the Oilers will trade for a goalie. No, it's pretty much set in stone because Bowman doesn't want to trade Savoy or Akey. That said, for a goalie. Yeah, no, it's pretty much ruled out that a goalie is not in the conversation. Oh, I didn't bring water with me, so bear with me, guys. Okay. Yeah, Bo Akey and Savoy, I don't think are going to be trading commodities. I don't think the Oilers are going after a goalie. I think, again, a depth defenseman and a depth forward is likely the answer for them. I think Arvidsson is trade bait. His contract is bigger than his value. They have attached a pick with it. Yeah, it's easy to say that he's trade bait, but he, again, like you said, he hasn't performed. You know, does someone want to take on that contract? You might be able to give him up to a team that's not making the playoffs where they can kind of swing a deal and, you know, okay, well, we'll take the money off your hands. I don't know. But other than that, it's not. Arvidsson is definitely not going to be going to a contender, 100%. And last but not least, Renegade Man, the Oilers have to play well. Picard saved them from that McDavid turnover. Well, you know, we could say a lot about McDavid, but McDavid is burnt out, man. You know, he played in the Four Nations. He played that. And then he's having to recoup everything, all the turnovers, all that. Like, there's too much expectation on Connor McDavid. And yeah, he gets the money for it, 100%. But there's too much expectation. We need to see more out of Bouchard. We need to see a lot more out of a lot of players. When Brett freaking Kulak, your third pairing defenseman, is having the most minutes, there's obviously a fundamental flaw in your defense. And I think that's about all I got for tonight, guys. Hoping you guys are enjoying your spring so far. We'll see what happens next week. We'll see who I will be talking about has been added to the Edmonton Oilers and who has departed, as we are likely to see some movement in this organization going forward. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this week. You guys have a great week. We will touch base with you next Sunday.